The stars of the Galactic Council shined across 1,000 worlds. For centuries, the elders believed they understood every danger in the galaxy. They ruled through knowledge, prophecy, and fear. Nothing escaped their sight, except Earth. On the edge of known space, a small blue planet rose from silence. Its people called themselves humans. They were young by galactic standards, reckless, emotional, and stubborn. The Council thought of them as nothing more than noisy children in a dark and endless sky. But one elder saw something different. His name was Seren of Orvath. Seren was old even by the standards of his kind. His eyes glowed with silver light, and his voice carried the weight of countless ages. He had seen stars die and civilizations fall, and in his visions he saw fire, not the slow burn of suns, but a human-made fire that devoured fleets and worlds alike. He stood before the council and spoke. "The humans are not to be ignored," he warned. "Their spirit burns brighter than any we have seen. If we push them too far, they will not break. They will become something unstoppable." The chamber fell silent. The other elders exchanged glances, amused and dismissive. Elder Vora laughed. "Unstoppable? Those groundwalkers barely have ships that can cross their own system." Another elder added, "Let them bark, Seren. The stars are ruled by wisdom, not emotion." But Seren's voice did not fade. "I have seen it," he said softly. "A storm of steel. A fleet rising from the ashes of humiliation. They will come when we least expect them, and when they come, the stars will shake." The council ignored him. They passed new trade restrictions on Earth, cut their access to resources, and placed embargoes that crippled human colonies. Earth's requests for aid went unanswered, and soon the Terran fleets were silent. Years passed. Humanity seemed to vanish from the galactic stage. The council moved on, believing the humans had finally accepted their place. But Seren watched the darkness of space, listening for whispers from the void. And one night the void whispered back. An explorer ship from the Kareth Dominion sent a distress call from the Vega line, static-filled and broken. The last words they transmitted were chilling. "They are back. Not the same. Not human anymore." Then silence. The council dismissed it as a malfunction, a trick of deep space interference. But Seren knew better. He felt it in the stars. Something powerful was moving in the dark. Unseen but very real, he requested an investigation. Yet no fleet volunteered. Commanders feared wasting resources on ghost signals. Then, strange things began to happen. Merchant ships vanished without a trace. Patrols found wreckage, smooth, melted and silent. No survivors, no attackers. Only a single emblem burned into the metal hulls. A blue-white flag with a small sphere at its center. When Seren saw the image, his breath caught. "The flag of Earth," he whispered. The council chamber erupted in disbelief. "Impossible," shouted one elder. "The humans don't have ships that advanced," another sneered. "It's a pirate trick, nothing more." But Seren's voice trembled. "You ignored the signs once. Do not ignore them again." The elders scoffed, dismissing his words once more. They refused to send scouts, refused to prepare defenses, refused to even speak of Earth in official records. Their arrogance was their shield, and their shield was cracking. Meanwhile, across the far side of the galaxy, deep within an uncharted nebula, vast shadows moved. Human engineers worked in silence aboard massive black ships. The hum of fusion reactors echoed through the dark. They remembered everything. The mockery, the sanctions, the silence. Humanity had not died, it had evolved. They called their new fleet Project Revenant, a name meaning those who return, thousands of ships, each forged with the rage of a species betrayed, every pilot, every soldier. Every AI core held the same oath. Never again will Earth be ignored. Back in the council chamber, Seren's visions grew darker. He could no longer sleep. His dreams were filled with flashes, alien cities burning, fleets torn apart, the sky filled with blue fire. He woke shaking, whispering to himself, "They are coming." He tried one last time to warn them. "Prepare your defenses," he begged. "Reach out to them. Make peace before it's too late." But his voice was drowned by laughter once again. And then, the silence began. Communication arrays along the galactic rim went dark. No signals, no traffic, nothing. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. The council grew uneasy. But still they refused to act. Days later, a single transmission broke the void. It came from an unknown source, a calm, human voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. "This is Earth Fleet Command," it said. "We sent warnings, we asked for peace, but you chose silence." The channel went quiet for a moment. Then the voice returned, colder than before. "Now, you will remember us." The transmission ended. And across the galaxy, alarms began to sound. Fleets scrambled, worlds trembled. The warnings from the void had become a promise, and humanity had come to collect. The galaxy slept under false peace, believing the humans were a forgotten echo. The elders of the council met in their shining halls, drinking in their power. But deep in the cold dark, something was moving. Something angry, something awake. It began with a whisper. A merchant ship near the Vega line sent a short distress beacon, then vanished. Patrols searched and found nothing. Only empty space and melted fragments. The investigation reports were filed, marked unknown cause and forgotten. But the pattern had already started. Within weeks, 8 more ships vanished. Then entire outposts went silent. Small colonies disappeared, leaving behind only blackened soil and silent skies. The trade routes grew quiet, and fear began to spread among the smaller species. At first, the council tried to hide it. They said it was piracy, an unstable sector, a series of accidents, but Seren of Orvath knew the truth. He could feel it in the air, the same dread that haunted his visions. Humanity had returned. He stood again before the council, his voice trembling. "You fools," he said. "The humans warned us. They are not ghosts. They are coming." The chamber filled with murmurs. "What proof do you have?" shouted one elder. "Old prophecies and shadows?" Serene raised a hand, projecting the latest transmission found from a destroyed patrol vessel. The image flickered to life. A dark sky, flames, and through the fire, the unmistakable outline of a massive Terran warship. Its nameplate shone clearly in the light. TSS Vengeance. Gasps filled the room. The ship was black, plated in obsidian armor, with engines that pulsed like a living heart, and beneath the Terran flag were the words, "Project Revenant." The elders froze. None of them spoke. Some looked away. Others clenched their fists, but Seren only whispered, "The first strike has begun." Across the Vega frontier, the storm had already arrived. Dozens of human ships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, moving without a single radio signal, silent as death. Their weapons were unlike anything seen before. Graviton lances pierced through shields like paper, and rail cannons turned ships into dust. Every engagement lasted seconds. The Terrans didn't conquer planets. They erased defenses, crippled communication, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. They weren't waging war for territory. They were sending a message. An alien captain named Dral commanded one of the first fleets to encounter them. His ship, the Varitha's Blade, was among the finest in the Council's navy. As soon as his sensors caught the Terran fleet, he shouted, "Open hails, identify yourselves." There was no response, only silence. Then a single transmission appeared on his screen, a human voice saying, "We warned you once." And then the stars exploded. The first human salvo struck. Cutting through his ships in seconds, the fleet burned, and the transmission ended as quickly as it began. When the reports reached the Council, panic began to stir. Entire sectors were requesting aid. Civilian populations fled deeper into central systems. But still, the elders argued, blaming each other, refusing to admit what they all feared. Humanity was winning. Serene watched the news feeds in silence, his old eyes filled with both awe and sorrow. "They learned too well," he said softly. "They studied us. They understood our weaknesses. And now they use them against us." Across the human fleet, commanders gathered in the darkened bridge of their flagship. TSS Retribution. Admiral Aria Koran stood at the center, her voice calm and cold. "Target zones 2 through 5, she ordered. Minimal civilian loss. Maximum signal impact." The officers obeyed without hesitation. They weren't fighting for power or glory. They were fighting for memory, for every insult, every blockade, every ignored plea for help. When the Council finally mobilized their fleets, it was too late. Their ships were older, slower, predictable. The humans fought with perfect unity, machines and men working as one mind. Their artificial intelligences had evolved far beyond what the Council thought possible. The first official report to reach the capital came from a trembling ambassador. "They don't broadcast demands," he said. "They don't speak, they don't gloat. They just strike and vanish." Panic spread among the outer worlds. Trade systems collapsed, and even loyal allies of the Council began to question their leadership. How could the mighty galactic elders be losing to a species they once mocked as primitive? Serene stood alone in his chamber, watching the stars flicker red with war. They could have been our allies, he whispered, but arrogance made them our destroyers. One night, a message came through the encrypted channels of the council. It was short, clear, and terrifying. The transmission simply said, "We remember. We forgive nothing. Earth Fleet Command." The elders stared at it in silence. Unable to breathe, Elder Vora whispered, "They mean to destroy us all." But Seren shook his head. "No," he said quietly. "They mean to make us understand." At the edge of known space, the human fleet vanished again into the dark, leaving behind nothing but silence, wreckage, and fear. Every species knew then that the age of comfort was over. The humans were no longer the forgotten children of the stars. They were the storm returning home. And this was only the first strike. Silence ruled the galaxy for weeks. No one dared travel the outer sectors. No signals came from the frontier. The council believed the humans had struck and vanished, but the truth was far worse. They hadn't vanished, they were preparing. In the void between stars, the Terran Alliance fleet drifted like a shadow. Thousands of warships coated in black armor, each one built for one purpose, retribution. On the bridge of the flagship TSS Retribution, Admiral Arya Karan stood before a massive holographic map. Her eyes were calm but cold. "Phase 2 is ready," said her AI officer, voice deep and emotionless. "Shall we begin?" Arya looked toward the swirling lights of the galactic core. "They ignored us when we begged for peace," she whispered. "Now they will listen." Across hundreds of light years, the human fleet activated in perfect unison. Every reactor pulsed alive. Every communication relay synchronized. The operation was called Echo Storm, a name chosen because every act of arrogance from the elders would now echo back to them with thunder. The first to see them were the scouts of the Tarak Consortium. Their sensors lit up as unknown ships appeared on every wavelength. "Unidentified fleet, repeat, unidentified fleet inbound," shouted the commander. But before he could finish, the sky tore open. From hyperspace came the humans. Black ships gliding like ghosts, engines burning blue like the eyes of gods. Their formation was flawless, their silence terrifying. No battle cries, no warnings, only precision. The Tarak fleets opened fire first, desperate to show strength. Plasma bolts screamed through space, but they never reached their targets. Human shields shimmered, bending light itself. Then the retaliation came. A single salvo from the Retribution. White fire crossed the void. The Tarak Armada ceased to exist. The entire system fell silent. At the Council's capital, alarm networks came alive. Messages flooded in. Colonies destroyed, fleets missing, communications jammed. One elder shouted, "We are under attack." But no one said the word they all feared, humanity. Serene of Orvath already knew. He stood at his balcony, watching the stars flicker red. "The storm has come," he said softly. The Council gathered in chaos. "Deploy the Home Guard. Contact the Dominion. Activate the planetary shields." Orders screamed across the chambers, but their fleets were scattered. Unprepared and afraid, meanwhile in the dark between systems, the humans broadcasted their first public message to the galaxy. A single sentence repeated on every frequency. In every language, "We warned you, that was all." No demands, no declarations, just truth. Then they moved again, striking at shipyards, energy relays, and data networks. Not to destroy everything, but to disable, to cripple. To show their control, in 1 week 43 systems went dark. A young alien named Rel, working in a mining outpost, saw the human ships pass overhead. Massive and silent, he whispered to his crew, "They don't attack us. They just watch." Indeed, many systems reported the same. The humans weren't wiping out civilians. They were targeting the Council's power, the corruption, the arrogance. Each attack was a mirror held to the sins of the elders. Admiral Arya Karan stood again on her bridge. The stars outside looked calm, but she knew billions were watching in fear. "Send the message," she ordered. The AI transmitted her words across the galactic network. "For centuries you ruled through silence," she said, her voice echoing across worlds. "Now you will feel what silence truly means," and the network went black. Every Council communication array shut down simultaneously. The galaxy fell into darkness in the panic that followed. Riots broke out on member worlds. Species once loyal to the Council turned against them, blaming their arrogance for bringing this wrath upon them. Seren tried to speak, to plead for peace, but no one listened now. Their anger is justified, he whispered to the guards who escorted him. If we had listened, this could have been avoided. Out in deep space, human scientists watched as systems collapsed under their own fear. We don't need to destroy them, one said quietly. They are destroying themselves. Still, not all humans agreed. Commander Rhett Vale of the TSS Vengeance argued with his superior. We should finish it now, he said. Strike the council core. End it before they recover. Arya Koran stared at him for a long time. No, she said, we are not monsters, we are a warning, but far away. The elders took her restraint as weakness. They began gathering what remained of their grand fleet, calling for unity against the Terran threat. Serene watched them prepare and sighed. They still do not understand. When the council fleet finally launched toward the outer rim, hoping to corner the humans, they found nothing. Empty space, dark silence, then their sensors lit up. Not from ships, but from shadows. Thousands of Terran warships uncloaked around them. Surrounding the Elder fleet on every side, engines burning blue, cannons armed. The humans said nothing. They didn't need to in that moment. The Elders finally understood that humanity had returned not as victims, not as wanderers, but as the new power of the stars. The Terrans broadcast one final message before the battle began. You ignored the signs, the voice said, low and steady. Now you will remember them forever. And then the sky burned. The stars above Orion Prime glowed red. The once golden capital of the Galactic Council now stood surrounded by fear. Its shining towers trembled as alarms echoed across every city. The elders gathered in the grand chamber. Their faces pale, the air was heavy with silence. They had summoned every remaining fleet. Every warship, every fighter, every reserve. They believed their strength could still stop the Terrans. Millions of soldiers prepared for battle, unaware that the war had already been lost. Elder Vora slammed his staff on the marble floor. We will not bow to primitives. He shouted, We are the oldest race in the galaxy. His voice shook not with courage but with desperation. Saren of Orvath stood across from him, his silver eyes dim. It is already too late, he whispered. The humans do not seek surrender. They seek justice. Outside, the sky changed color. Massive Terran ships emerged from dark space. Each vessel moved like a shadow of vengeance. Engines burned with cold blue fire. They surrounded Orion Prime like predators circling their prey. The first barrage struck without warning. Shields flared, then shattered. The sound of collapsing metal echoed across the planet. Entire defense stations vanished in bursts of white light. The Council's proud defense grid, once considered indestructible, fell within minutes. Panic consumed the chambers. Activate planetary cannons. Deploy the home guard. Send reinforcements. Voices overlapped as chaos spread from orbit. The TSS Retribution floated like a silent god. Admiral Arya Koran stood at its command deck, watching the battle unfold. Target military installations only, she ordered calmly. No civilian fire, humanity fights for balance. Not blood, her AI confirmed the command. Acknowledged. Admiral. The Terran fleet moved with surgical precision. Every strike had purpose. Communication centers, weapon factories, and fleet yards were erased one by one. On the surface, Elder soldiers fought desperately, firing plasma rifles into the sky. But the Terrans were untouchable. Dropping from orbit in silver armor, moving like shadows through smoke, they fought with calm focus. No rage, no cruelty, just resolve inside the council tower. Serene watched the destruction from the window. His voice was soft but filled with sorrow. This is not war, he said. This is judgment, Vora turned to him, his voice shaking. You caused this with your fear-mongering. Serene shook his head slowly. No, he said. We caused this with our pride. Moments later, the chamber shook violently. The walls cracked, light poured in. A section of the tower collapsed, exposing the elders to the burning sky. A communication officer screamed, Incoming transmission from the Terran flagship. The room fell silent. The hologram flickered to life, revealing Admiral Arya Koran, her eyes cold but steady. Behind her, the black insignia of Earth Fleet Command shimmered. You were warned, she said calmly. You starved our colonies, silenced our people, and called us lesser. Now you stand in the shadow of your own arrogance. Vora stepped forward, trembling. We surrender, he cried. Please, no more. Arya's expression did not change. Surrender? She asked softly. Tell me, Elder, did you offer surrender to the colonies you left to die? Silence. Then, for the first time, Serene spoke. Admiral, he said quietly, Not all of us wanted this war. Some tried to stop it, I did. Arya looked at him for a long moment. Your name is Serene of Orvath, she said. We know your records. You spoke truth when no one would listen. She turned slightly toward her officers. Cease orbital fire, she commanded. Secure the capital. Her decision rippled through the fleet. The bombardment stopped. The burning skies began to fade. Only smoke and silence remained. Human soldiers descended through the clouds, landing at the council plaza. They moved through ruined streets filled with frightened civilians. Instead of violence, they offered aid, food, and water. For the first time in history, the galaxy saw something greater than power, mercy. Serene stood among the ruins, watching the Terrans help the weak. His eyes filled with tears. They came for vengeance, he whispered, but brought justice instead. Later that night, the surviving elders gathered once more. Their numbers were few, their pride gone. Serene faced them. The age of arrogance is over, he said. If we are to survive, we must stand with them, not against them. Some elders refused to speak. Others wept for the first time in thousands of years. The council chamber was silent, truly silent. Above them, the Terran fleet hung in orbit. The blue-white flag of Earth glowed in the darkness, a symbol that the galaxy would never forget. Admiral Arya Corrin stood before her crew. Transmit the message to all systems, she said. Let every world know this day. The message echoed across the stars. The age of silence is over. The Terran Accord begins. From the ashes of tyranny, a new order was born. Planets that once feared Earth now turned toward it with respect. Even Serene, the last of the true elders, bowed his head and whispered, May we never ignore the signs again. And far beyond the wreckage of Orion Prime, the humans looked to the stars not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy had fallen. But in its fall, something greater had risen, the unity of the stars under the banner of Earth. The age of the Council was over. The age of humanity had begun. The war was over. The fires of Orion Prime burned no more, and silence settled across the galaxy. It was not the silence of fear, but of realization. The galaxy had changed forever. In the weeks that followed, the once mighty Galactic Council ceased to exist. Its banners torn, its fleets shattered, its arrogance finally broken. Worlds that had lived under its rule began to rise again, free for the first time in centuries. Above them all, the human fleet remained in orbit, not as conquerors, but as watchers. The blue-white emblem of Earth glowed among the stars like a promise. Humanity had not come to enslave. They had come to bring balance. Admiral Arya Corrin stood on the bridge of the TSS Retribution, her uniform still scarred by battle, yet her voice was calm. Open a broadcast, she ordered, to every world that still listens. The holographic transmitters pulsed to life. Her image spread across thousands of planets. Through broken satellites and damaged receivers, her words were simple, her tone steady. This war was never for power, she said. It was for memory, for justice, and for those the galaxy forgot. Her words echoed across the void. From the lowest mining colony to the richest trade world, every species listened. We will not rule you, she continued. We will stand beside you. We will rebuild what arrogance destroyed. We are not your masters. We are your allies. On the surface of Orion Prime, Serene of Orvath listened to the broadcast. He stood among the ruins of the once great council hall, now quiet and empty. His eyes shone with tears as he whispered, They speak as we should have. Human engineers worked alongside alien builders, repairing hospitals, rebuilding homes, and restoring power. Where there had once been walls of separation, there were now bridges of cooperation. Humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, but its unity. Days turned into weeks. The Terran Alliance began forming what they called the Accord, a new system of peace and equality among worlds, not ruled by fear but guided by choice. Each planet was given a voice. Even the smallest colony had representation. The elders were no longer gods, they were witnesses to a new age. Serene attended the first meeting of the Accord. He was the oldest being there, sitting beside young human officers and alien diplomats. His voice trembled as he spoke. The galaxy once believed wisdom came only from age, he said. But today, I see it comes from humility. The chamber erupted in quiet applause. Meanwhile, aboard the Retribution, Admiral Arya watched the stars outside the viewport. The galaxy no longer looked cold, it looked alive. "We did not just win a war," she said softly to her crew. "We changed history," her AI responded in its calm tone. "The probability of long-term peace has increased by 70%. Arya smiled faintly. "Let's make it 100, she said. Across the galaxy, old enemies began speaking again. Former rivals now trading allies. Children who once feared the name human now wore Terran emblems on their jackets, hoping to join the fleet. Yet not all was calm. In the shadows of the distant rim, some remnants of the old council whispered of revenge. But even they knew humanity could not be defeated the same way twice. Serene often visited the memorial built in the center of Orion Prime. It was simple. A tall spire of black metal engraved with names, human and alien alike, those who had fallen for truth. He would stand there for hours whispering. We ignored the signs, and the signs became our fate. One evening, a human captain approached him. "Elder Seren," she said gently, "do you regret surviving?" Seren looked up at the stars, his old eyes glowing softly. "No," he said. "I regret not listening sooner." High above them, the Retribution prepared to leave orbit. The fleet's mission was changing, from Avengers to Protectors, from warriors to guardians. As the engines ignited, Admiral Arya made her final address to her people. "The galaxy has feared us," she said. "Now let it trust us. We are Terrans. We fight when we must, but we build when we can." Her words became a creed repeated on countless worlds. We fight when we must, but we build when we can. The humans left Orion Prime not with victory parades, but with silent respect behind them. Thousands of freed worlds saluted as the fleet disappeared into the light of distant stars. From that day forward, a new star appeared on every galactic map. Earth, not as a symbol of war, but as a reminder that even the smallest world could change the fate of the universe. And as the light of dawn rose over Orion Prime, Seren whispered the final words that would echo for generations. "They ignored the signs once," he said softly, "but never again, for humanity's light now shines over all." The camera of history pulled back, showing a galaxy reborn, a galaxy united under one truth: humanity had returned, and the stars would never forget them.